A British cruise ship rejected by Caribbean port officials for weeks docked in Cuba on Wednesday to unload more than 1,000 people on board, including 5 confirmed COVID-19 patients. Cuba said it is allowing the passengers to transit as an act of humanitarian solidarity.
Here's a summary of the article.
Havana, a British cruise ship rejected by Caribbean port officials for weeks docked in Cuba on Wednesday to unload more than 1,000 people on board, including 5 with confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus. The Bremer arrived in the port of Mariel early in the morning. Passengers leaving the ship were being taken by medical workers in protective gear to José Martí International Airport, about 40 miles east in the capital, Havana. Most of the 682 passengers were expected to arrive in London Thursday morning on planes chartered by Fred. Passengers with the coronavirus or flu-like symptoms were being flown to a British military base on a separate plane. Cuba announced its first death from the coronavirus, a 61-year-old Italian tourist who was one of 10 confirmed cases on the island. Cuba said it is allowing the passengers to transit as an act of humanitarian solidarity.
This post received a score of 73,758, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
At this rate I should be able to afford a cruise ship, they will all be on sale soon enough.
You already can, take your pick.
Those are weirdly cheap. There's a nice cruise liner there for €3.5 million, how?
Probably because the real cost comes from running them. Also they're second-hand.
Preceded with your favorite communicable disease.
Norovirus as your captain. Chlamydia as the first mate.
What a coincidence, my first mating resulted in chlamydia.
It clearly wasn't your partner's first mating.
Lots of experience with masts.
I'm sat on the ship just now. I'm well but my wife has a cough so we are confined to our cabin, quite rightly. I understand why several smaller islands turned us away. In the Bahamas we were resupplied by a boat that was left at anchor by the crew who left it on another boat our ship's crew had to board and bring it alongside for unloading. I have great respect for the ship's captain who has tried so hard to both find us a port and keep spirits up. I know the FCO have been working hard in our behalf. I can't express how grateful I am to Cuba.
So you and your wife have to sit in your cabin 24/7. How long have you been in there?
This was my question. I'd be going downright insane tbh. That's way too long in too confined of a space.
Literal cabin fever.
This is great by Cuba, but I will defend those islands who refused them a little. A lot of those places have substantial populations of very poor people who live in tight, poor conditions, and they rely entirely on imports for almost everything, especially medical supplies. One that no other country can really help with at the moment since we're all dealing with it. Cuba also has this issue of lots of poor people, but for all the shit they get, they are known to have great health care, so hopefully they are equipped to handle this.
Can confirm. Some stats from the island where I live: 300 beds, 7 IC beds, 16 ventilators, population of 150,000 people. 3 infections, 1 dead. First infection was a tourist from the epicenter in the Netherlands. 2 weeks ago. Government is handling the situation fairly good, against my expectations I might add. As soon as the first case was confirmed, there was no phased shutdown. It was an immediate lockdown of air traffic, with exception of freight, and all businesses. Now, we're all hanging out at home.
Yeah, I lived on one of these islands for a long time, so I'm a little familiar and have been following the news there. Tourists brought it in and they more or less immediately shut down everything. Their health system is already regularly stressed with overfilled hospitals and poor care, so they really can't afford this. The other thing to consider here for those not familiar with these islands is that the vast majority of their income is tourism, which is obviously not happening right now.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.